The bedside clock glowed 12:17 a.m., its dim digital light piercing the dense darkness of our bedroom. I lay motionless, pretending to be asleep, my body angled away from the door, though every fiber of my being thrummed with dread. For hours, my mind had been caught in a relentless cycle, replaying one agonizing moment. A car had pulled into the driveway 10 minutes earlier than she'd said she'd be home from her late shift at the hospital. The mattress dipped slightly as she settled beside me, her once comforting presence now alien, almost repulsive. Her quiet breaths mingled with the soft rustle of sheets as she slipped beneath them. That sound, once a gentle rhythm of our shared life, now scraped against my nerves like a jarring chord of betrayal. I remained still, not daring to show I was awake, my muscles tense to the point of shaking, as if I might shatter under the pressure. A bitter metallic taste of anger and grief surged in my throat. I held my breath, listening as she settled into the bed, an outsider in the space we once called ours. Then came a faint gasp, a sharp catch in her breathing that lingered, stretching into an eternal pause. The urge to reach out, to offer solace, flared briefly within me, but it was swiftly overwhelmed by a cold wave of disgust as I recalled the text messages I'd discovered, messages I was never meant to see. She'd found the letter. Slowly, I turned to face her, forcing my gaze to meet hers. Moonlight streamed through the window, bathing her face in a ghostly glow, her eyes wide with a terror I'd never seen before. Her hands clutched a single sheet of paper as if it were a dangerous beast. Her lips trembled as she began to read the words I'd painstakingly written, each one infused with the pain she'd inflicted. The letter wasn't driven by fury, not wholly. It was an outpouring of the hollow ache in my chest, the isolation of living in a marriage that had become an empty husk. It spoke of a home stripped of warmth, replaced by a strange chill. It exposed the ruins of trust, a future I could no longer envision with her. And it ended with one devastating line. "I know about him, ally." Her eyes met mine, her face a canvas of panic. "How?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "How did you find out? Does it matter?" I replied, my voice flat, devoid of emotion. I'd rehearsed this moment in my mind countless times over the past weeks, each version filled with screams, tears, or accusations. But in the raw reality of the moment, I was eerily calm. She didn't answer, her gaze locked on the letter, as if it held the secret to unraveling all of life's mysteries. "It's meaningless now," I said, my tone low and steady. "I've known for weeks, ally. The shifts that never happened, the hushed phone calls, the scent of perfume that wasn't mine. It's over." Tears streamed silently down her face, her voice cracking as she begged. "Please, Steve, don't. I made a mistake." "A mistake," I repeated, the words sour as ash in my mouth. "No, ally, this wasn't a misstep. It was a choice, a deliberate one you made over and over, each time cutting me deeper, destroying what we built. Now you have to face the consequences." I stood from the bed, pulling on clothes as a heavy silence settled between us, thick with unspoken guilt and regret. The woman before me was a stranger, impossible to connect with the devoted wife I'd once known. "Where are you going?" she asked, her voice weak and quivering. "To see someone," I replied, tying my shoes. I said no more. I didn't need to, she knew. The drive to his house blurred into a fog of pain, each mile deepening the wound, every passing car a reminder of the happiness stolen from me. By the time I arrived at his place, my hands shook, my grip on the steering wheel so tight, my knuckles throbbed. Rage burned within me, a wildfire poised to consume everything. He opened the door in a t-shirt and shorts, his face sporting the same smug smirk I'd seen in the photos on Ally's phone. Cocky younger man. Everything I wasn't. "Can I help you?" he asked, his confidence unshaken. "I think you can," I said, my voice low, laced with threat. "I'm Steve, Ally's husband." His arrogance vanished, replaced by a flash of fear. He tried to slam the door, but I was quicker, jamming my foot in the gap and forcing my way inside. The primal anger I'd suppressed erupted. "You've been sleeping with my wife?" I snarled, the words dripping with venom. I wanted him to feel the weight of his actions, to see the destruction he'd caused. He stammered, attempting to deny it, but I wasn't listening. I grabbed his collar, pulling him close. You thought you could just invade someone's life and take what isn't yours? That you'd get away with it? My voice trembled, not with fear, but with raw fury. I saw red. Words failed me after that. I unleashed every ounce of pain and betrayal, my fists striking until my knuckles bled, until he lay crumpled on the floor whimpering. I didn't care. He deserved it. In that moment, it felt just almost purifying. I left him there, a broken mess, and stepped into the cool night air. For the first time in weeks, I could breathe, but the fight hadn't dulled the sting of betrayal. Revenge hadn't mended me. The weeks that followed were a blur of legal meetings, paperwork, and the slow dismantling of the life we'd built. Ally moved out, her attempts at apologies and explanations falling on deaf ears. I couldn't bear her voice. The image of her clutching that letter, her eyes filled with fear, was a constant reminder of what she'd shattered. In our small town, her infidelity became gossip that spread like wildfire. Whispers followed her, judgmental stares a constant burden. Her friends, our friends, turned away. The life she'd risked collapsed around her. His life fared no better. Once the town's golden boy, he became its pariah, losing his job, his friends, his reputation. He couldn't show his face in public. Meanwhile, I was the wronged husband, pitted and admired for my resilience. But I felt none of it. I was empty, going through life's motions, work, bills, the usual. Without her, my heart a raw wound. Even now, years later, the pain lingers like a phantom. Sometimes I wonder when it all unraveled, when our love began to fade. But then I see her face, the letter in her hands, and I know some betrayals can't be forgiven. Some wounds never fully heal.